She the queen, yeah, that's Queen Esquire. Legal trouble, she getting you out the fire. Another dame, she solving another case. Cause she litigate with dignity and grace. She the queen, yeah, that's Queen Esquire. Legal trouble, she getting you out the fire. Another dame, she solving another case. Cause she litigate with dignity and grace.
Hello, litigators and opinionators. Court is now in session. Y'all, so now you know I have my little issues with TYRE Nichols about his colorist statements he said about Black women, but at the same time, he still deserves justice in this tragedy. So I will continue to cover this tragedy because he deserved justice. He didn't deserve to be beat to death by these monsters. Now, recently, these monsters were in court, you guys, for a court hearing. And they were complete cowards. They were so big and bad when they beat TYRE Nichols to death, right? But when they were in court, and I'm going to show you a video of them, they look like little scared, lost puppies. They were in there wearing face masks, trying to cover up their identity. I'm like, you was so big and bad, you didn't have any problem showing your body camera, you know, when you were beating this man to death. But now you were over here bragging about how you did this hit and that hit. But all of a sudden, now you're in court, you want to try to hide behind a mask. And you know what else they did, y'all, in court? They had the audacity to plead not guilty. Now, we already know that is no surprise in our judicial process. 99.9% of the time, most of the time, they will enter a plea of not guilty. They want to take it to trial. So that's a normal plea. But I'm just still saying, you know, y'all caught on camera. What are you going to do to defend yourself? That's going to be very interesting. So let's get into some of the information that we have found out. Another thing I want to talk to you about is there's actually two other officers that were suspended in the Nichols case. And we're just now finding out about these officers because they didn't keep their body cameras on. So these officers, they were hiding their body camera. These two other officers that ended up being kicked off the squad, basically suspended. They failed. They were suspended for five days for the role in the arrest of TYRE Nichols, and they failed to keep their body cameras on activated after they went to the location where Nichols had been beaten by the 5 Memphis police officers. So that was why their sheriff didn't know about it. So Shelby County Sheriff Office deputies Jeremy Watkins and John Tavius Bowers each violated multiple police policies after they reported to the location of Nichols' violent arrest on January 7th, Sheriff Floyd Bonner said in a statement. So that was two other officers involved that we didn't even know about. And those two other officers have yet to be charged. So we're still waiting for them to be held accountable. Okay. Make it make sense. I'll show you a photo of them. Here they are on the screen. They are the Shelby County deputies, John Tavius Bowers here and Jeremy Watkins. These two officers were being corrupt, y'all. They were over there hiding their identity. And so they never got suspended at the same time that these other sick 5 officers were suspended because they basically turned their body cameras off. So I question whether they were involved in this beating. And if they were, they should be charged too. So at this time, as we see it right now, they have just merely been suspended, y'all, for 5 days. That's not really much of a repercussion. So I wonder what involvement did they have in the beating? But the sheriff is saying that, well, Nichols fled a traffic stop, but was caught near his home by Memphis Police Department officers who punched, kicked, hit him with a baton. Police video footage and other documents showed. The video released by the city showed several officers standing around as Nichols struggled with serious injuries while sitting on the ground, propped up against a police car. Nichols was taken to a hospital in an ambulance that left the location of the beating 27 minutes after emergency medical technicians arrived, authorities have said. So let's hear about these officers before we get into the hearing that just recently occurred with these cowards who are now running and scrambling, afraid with their little masks on, y'all.
TYRE Nichols' death. Right now, 2 Shelby County Sheriff's deputies are serving a 5-day suspension.
They have been identified as Jontavius Bowers and Jeremy Watkins. WREG's Jordan James again, and he has more on how this decision came about.
3 weeks after the Shelby County Sheriff's Office announced an internal investigation into 2 deputies that responded to TYRE Nichols' arrest. Jontavius Bowers and Jeremy Watkins have both been suspended for 5 days for their actions on the night of January 7th. In documents released by the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, the duo is accused of breaking numerous policies, such as failing to notify dispatch or a supervisor that they responded to the call, along with not keeping their body-worn cameras activated.
These are policies and procedures that must be followed by our officers.
In his first on-camera interview since announcing the suspension, Sheriff Floyd Bonner addressed the criticism about the timing of the internal investigation, which didn't happen until the video was released publicly.
I understand why they did not contact us. They had 5 officers that was involved in a horrific occurrence. The deputies that walked on the scene walked in after the assault had occurred. And if I had known before then, we probably would have suspended him.
The sheriff tells WREG the 2 deputies went on their own accord to the scene, which is out of their patrol area.
We had no reason to be there. We were not called for an assist with MPD, and certainly we would have shown up if the case had warranted us being there.
Once on scene, surveillance footage shows the deputies standing around after Nichols was beaten. Several agencies fired personnel who responded. SCSO opted to suspend their deputies for 5 days.
They've been good officers here at the sheriff's office. They had no prior discipline. That was taken into account. I'm sure they're sorry that they showed up, and hopefully this will be a learning moment for them.
Reporting in Memphis, Jordan.
So those 2 officers basically got suspended for being nosy, y'all. They was in something they shouldn't have been over there, and they should have reported it to their superiors, which they never did. They saw this man that was beat to death. In my opinion, I feel like they had a duty to intervene. Okay? He literally was dying there. But let's look at this hearing from these 5 coward officers here who thought they were Mr. Big and Bad when they beat TYRE Nichols to death. But all of a sudden, when they get in court, now they're Mr. Scared lost puppies with this mask on.
Not guilty to attempted murder and a variety of other charges. I want to bring in our senior national correspondent, Steve Osunsami, who is there in Memphis, along with our legal analyst, Shauna Lloyd, for more on this. Steve, what's it like in the courtroom today?
It was very quiet in the courtroom. The family entered first. They sat down. There was a large group of family members. They were seated directly in front of me. They were on the left side of the courtroom. His mother and stepfather were there. The prosecutor, the Shelby County prosecutor, spoke to the family, and I overheard him saying that he was going to meet with them later this morning. And then shortly afterwards, on the right side of the courtroom, that's when the 5 officers appeared with their lawyers. It was just mostly press and the family members who were in the courtroom. This hearing did not last long at all. The young men stood up. Their lawyers entered their pleas. Interestingly, they were all wearing masks, all wearing black masks. So you really couldn't see their faces. It was really hard to see any of them. But they all entered pleas of not guilty to the judge. One other thing I'll also point out, the judge said that, asked the public and people watching for patience. And right now, this case has been continued until May 1st.
Yeah, we heard the judge there saying this could take some time. What are we expecting from this press conference, Steve?
Well, I'm expecting it to be quite emotional. The family this morning, and our cameras were with them when this happened, this morning before this hearing, the family of TYRE Nichols, his mother and stepfather, they went to the memorial where there are still, after all this time, an ever-present memorial of balloons and teddy bears where this beating took place, the beating that led to the wounds that led to his death. The family went to that site this morning and exchanged a few words. We expect them to speak any moment. directly across the street from me right now. Their lawyer is here. They are continuing to seek justice in this case and to light a fire under this issue, and are not going to rest until they see that justice. People watching for patience.
So I had to go back and show y'all this. Look at these officers in here with their little mask on. You notice their attorneys don't have a mask on. So why are they over here hiding their identity? We know who you are. You have no reason to be hiding. They over here with their mask on. You was so big and bad. You were bragging when you beat TYRE Nichols to death. You were so proud of what you did. But now all of a sudden you're in court. Now you want to put on this mask. Look at them. Just pitiful. You can identify them just by looking at their mask. Just disgusting. You got this one right here. Let me put my mouse where he is. This one right here with the little afro, mini afro. He over here chewing his gum so hard. I'm like, boy, take that gum out of your mouth. You are in court. Just disrespectful. Chewing gum like he think he Mr. Big and Bad. I'm like, these people, they need to do better. I'm going to play this other video here for y'all too, because I think this video gives us a little bit more detail. So let's take a look.
Well, happening today, the 5 fired Memphis police officers charged in the death of TYRE Nichols will be in court for the first time this morning. Right now, they're each facing several charges, including second-degree murder. Lakita is live outside the courthouse this morning with more on what we can expect. Good morning, Lakita.
Yeah, Aaron, those 5 officers will have a bond hearing in just a few hours here where they will either plead guilty or not guilty. They'll also hear about their charges. Now, so far, what we know is that Memphis police filed a full disciplinary report from that January 7th traffic stop on these 5 former officers that you see right here on your screen. Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Justin Smith, Desmond Mills Jr., and Emmett Martin III. All of them have been officers for 5 years or less. And
right here, let's look at them, each one of their eyes, because these are the ones over here trying to hide behind those masks now that they have to face the consequences for what they did. I want their faces to be plastered, because how you gonna go into court now and hide your face after you didn't boldly and proudly beat this man to death? You were so proud of it that night, bragging all on the body camera. Make it make sense. So TYRE Nichols' mother has come and spoke about what has happened in court, because she was there, and she vows to go to every single court hearing. And she has said that these big and bad officers here couldn't even look her in the eyes when they were in court. They were so shamed for what they did, they couldn't even look at her. I'm like, make it make sense. You were so big and bad that night, but now when the mother's there and you got to look at the mother that TYRE Nichols was crying out to on that night, all of a sudden you can't look at him. So let's hear what mom had to say.
We have to start this process of justice right now. And I want each and every one of those police officers to be able to look me in the face. They haven't done that yet. They couldn't even do that today. They didn't even have the courage to look at me in my face after what they did to my son. So they're going to see me at every court date. Everyone. And until we get justice for my son.
So I'm with the mama. Mama said, I'm about to be at every single court date. You're going to have to look at me. You are going to have to face me. I don't know why they think they're just Mr. Big and Bad, and now they want to hide behind their little face mask. Honey, that's not going to obscure. Everybody knows who you are, okay? If you did the crime, then you need to do the time. Now, then there's still a disclaimer that all of these individuals are presumed to be innocent until they're proven guilty in the court of law. But in my humble opinion, they're guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That's just my opinion, okay? I can't wait for justice to happen in this. It will take some time. We probably won't even see a trial in this case until next year. So just hang tight. Justice is coming for TYRE Nichols. Although I can say I don't agree with this man's mindset and his perception of black women and how he talked down to black women. I still believe this man deserves justice. He did not deserve to be beat to death at all. And he deserves to have the justice that will be afforded to him. And those officers, in my opinion, deserve to be in prison for the rest of their entire miserable lives. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to this video. Let me know what you think about what's going on with the updates, what you think about these officers. What do you think the sentence should be? What do you think the punishment should be for what they did to TYRE Nichols? Let me know. All right, take care and have a lovely night.